All right, let's get right into it. Welcome command staff and high-level security personnel. I'm your presenter today, and we're going to be conducting a classified briefing on a really fascinating and frankly terrifying asset, SCP-242. We're going to do a full forensic deconstruction of exactly how this anomaly's lethal mechanics work, and then we'll talk about how we can actually use it to our strategic advantage. Look, the intelligence we're unpacking today gets pretty severe, so I need everyone to keep a sharp, clinical eye on this data. Understanding the exact nature of this object is absolutely crucial for our ongoing operations. So let's dive into the dossier.
Here's our roadmap for this briefing. First, we'll cover containment and security protocols. Then, we'll get into its anomalous properties and function. After that, we'll review the Incident 242-1 containment breach, break down the results of Experiment 17, and finish up with strategic disposal applications.
Now, before we even get into the physical specs, we need to clear up its object class, which is designated as safe. I know what you're thinking, but I have to remind all personnel that safe simply means it's easy to contain. It literally just means the anomaly isn't going to actively try to break out of its box. It absolutely does not mean it's harmless. In fact, as you're about to see, if you interact with this thing improperly, it is exceptionally deadly. Okay, moving to Section 1, Containment and Security Protocols. So how do you hide an anomaly in plain sight? Our entire containment strategy here relies on mundane suburban camouflage. A while back, the previous landlord of this property mysteriously vanished after living there for just 3 days. After that, the Foundation swooped in and procured this completely unremarkable house in New Mexico. To lock it down, we put up a standard 2-meter cinder block perimeter wall. You know, the kind that perfectly blends in with the local neighborhood vibe. And finally, we set up some deep cover identities to keep the site running without raising any red flags with the neighbors. To keep this cover solid, we have 2 researchers, Drs. Molitok and Molawanakala, living at the residence and posing as a married couple. But the real linchpin here is the Level 1 guard. They operate under the cover of a live-in cook, and their actual job is maintaining constant 24/7 visual monitoring of the backyard. We have absolute zero contact orders in place. Nobody, and I mean nobody, other than Class D personnel during approved testing is allowed anywhere near it. Let's get into Section 2, Anomalous Properties and Function. On the surface, SCP-242 just looks like a standard swimming pool. It's about 4.5 by 9 meters and holds roughly 53,000 liters of liquid. But here is the kicker. It functions as an absolute, unrelenting biological and chemical sterilizer. Any substance you introduce to this pool, whether it's living, dead, organic, inorganic, is eventually transmuted into pure, completely sterile water. And the crazy part, once it's transmuted, it stays sterile permanently, even if you scoop it out and take it somewhere else. Now, during this transmutation process, things get incredibly eerie on a mechanical level. If you drop red food dye in there, it doesn't mix at all. It just clumps together into this non-miscible bubble until the pool sterilizes it. Plus, the second foreign matter hits the water, the pool jets and the dual waterfall just turn themselves on. We're talking completely unpowered activation, zero connection to an electrical grid. Even the automated pool vacuum will start driving itself across the bottom, pushing through thick, viscous liquids. And if you actually inspect the physical plumbing, the filtration pipes are bone dry, completely empty. The whole thing runs on anomalous mechanics, totally independent of actual plumbing. So how fast does this sterilization actually happen? Well, it scales heavily depending on the density and the volume of whatever you throw in there. Ordinary river water, that takes just 7 minutes to turn crystal clear. Stagnant pond water takes about 18 minutes. But look at that last data point. We dumped in 50,000 liters of dense, highly viscous coal tar. It took a full 12 days to completely transmute that mess into pure, clear water. The anomaly is incredibly patient, and it absolutely never fails. Which brings us to Section 3, Incident 242-1, Containment Breach. Unfortunately, we did have a breach. During a brief window when the safe house was vacant, though it was still under video surveillance, 2 civilian trespassers, a young man and woman in their early 20s, hopped the back wall. They bypassed security, grabbed a couple of inflatable vinyl rafts out of the backyard shed, and jumped into the dormant anomaly. Of course, the moment they hit the water, those unpowered jets kicked on. Tragically, the male subject made a fatal assumption. He convinced the female subject that it was just an automatic cleaning timer and told her there was nothing to worry about. The chronological timeline of their biological dissolution is pretty chilling. At T0, the jets activate. Fast forward 24 minutes, and our audio surveillance picks up the subjects saying the water feels really warm and tingly. They actually end up falling asleep on their rafts. Then, at exactly the 29-minute mark, the anomaly finishes processing the vinyl. Both rafts violently rupture within 4 seconds of each other, dumping the subjects right into the water for total immersion. Immediately, this deep red frothing starts at the surface. They were screaming, trying to claw their way out, but they were pulled under. By 29 minutes and 48 seconds, the frothing completely stopped. The water was perfectly clear again. From the moment of total immersion, both subjects were completely dissolved and transmuted in under 60 seconds. The Foundation obviously moved fast. We immediately instituted permanent lifeguard protocols on site to make sure no civilian ever gets over that wall again. As for the victims, a standard cover story was pushed to the local media and their families. We planted evidence that they had spontaneously eloped to Mexico. That successfully closed the incident with absolutely zero public exposure of the anomaly.
Next up is Section 4, Experiment 17, Ingestion Analysis. So naturally, Command wanted to know what happens if you actually drink the transmuted water. To safely run Experiment 17, we needed a massive equipment budget. We brought in 2 heavy-duty titanium atmospheric dive suits to protect the test subjects, a 190-liter food-grade titanium siphon barrel, and massive overhead cranes. Because we had to do all this in a suburban backyard, we set up an elaborate cover story disguising the whole operation as a massive home fumigation tenting to hide the heavy machinery from the neighbors. We set up a highly controlled test using 2 perfectly matched Class D personnel. Subject A was fully lowered into SCP-242, safely sealed inside one of those titanium dive suits, and told to drink the pool water directly through a built-in titanium siphon. Subject B, on the other hand, stayed completely outside the pool. They were just drinking water that we had extracted from the anomaly and pumped into that remote titanium barrel. Let's look at Subject B first. They drank the extracted water and said it was cool, pleasant, and completely ordinary. We kept them under observation for 17 hours, and their physiological reaction was entirely mundane. This was a huge finding because it proved conclusively that once the water is transmuted and physically removed from the anomaly's active zone, it loses all anomalous properties permanently. It really is just pure, safe, sterile water. Subject A, however, well, that was a completely different story. Remember, they were still physically immersed in the anomaly while drinking. The second Subject A swallowed the water, they reported a warm, chemical taste. Almost immediately after, they started experiencing extreme gastric pressure, belching loudly. The anomaly was actually recognizing the organic food matter inside the subject's stomach as foreign material that needed to be sterilized. Soon, Subject A was screaming about internal stinging and extreme heat, as the water temperature inside their own body rapidly spiked. The anomaly was literally sterilizing the subject's organic matter from the inside out. The final clear audio transmission we got from Subject A marked the exact moment of total internal structural failure. As the biological transmutation violently accelerated inside the sealed suit, Subject A's dental hardware was literally forcefully expelled from their dissolving tissue. That was the last thing we heard before the subject was completely neutralized by the sterilization process. Just brutal. It took 15 hours of unrelenting, anomalous processing for Titanium Dive Suit A to suffer complete internal electrical and structural failure. We couldn't retrieve it. It was a total loss of both the Class D subject and a highly expensive suit. Compare that to Subject B, who walked away after 17 hours with a perfectly clean bill of health and absolutely zero physiological changes. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Strategic Disposal Applications. So, what does this all mean for us? Well, there's actually a major operational shift underway right now. Foundation Command is looking at SCP-242 not just as a hazard we need to guard, but as a permanent disposal mechanism. We are literally talking about weaponizing this pool's inescapable sterilization property to our benefit. Think about it. We can use this to permanently handle other anomalous materials that are just too dangerous or too expensive to keep containing. The clinical advantages here are off the charts. We've basically got a highly efficient biological and chemical neutralization asset that leaves absolutely zero anomalous residue behind. When it's done, you're left with nothing but pure water that just evaporates naturally. It's the ultimate, untraceable incinerator, and it doesn't even need to be plugged into a power grid. For any command staff dealing with highly hostile anomalies that need disposing of, testing permissions are currently open. You just need to run the request through Dr. I'm going to leave you all with this thought. Look at our current containment backlog.
What other impossible-to-manage Foundation anomalies are currently draining our resources, threatening our personnel, or risking a breach that could simply be tossed in and dissolved into nothing but pure, clear water? SCP-242 offers a vast, chilling potential to quietly optimize our entire containment grid. I strongly urge you all to consider its applications. That concludes our dossier briefing for today. Thank you all for your time and your focused attention. Dismissed. This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.